Now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome, everyone, to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Sunday, September 14th, 2025. And here are a few of the weather-related headlines, or astronomically speaking. The last quarter moon does occur this Sunday, and we have a possibility of G1 minor geomagnetic storm tonight into early Monday morning. Could be enough to enhance the aurora, some high latitude aurora. Not a massive big display, but if you have clear skies, take a look though. We still have that last quarter moon. We do have a low pressure system that's going to bring gale and even some lower storm force and winds along a front here into the Gulf tonight and Monday. And it's also going to bring some periods of moderate to locally heavier rainfall again tonight and Monday into Wednesday, especially southeast parts of Alaska, Yakutat down into the outer panhandle. And then also could get pretty wet Monday night into Tuesday in Whittier in the west end of Prince William Sound. And we're going to see this series of wet and windy low pressure systems just coming up out of the Gulf, or out of the North Pacific into the Gulf pretty much through the end of the month. So they'll just be every other day or three. That'll tend to happen. So Whittier seeing a little light rain and fog, 51 degrees on this Sunday afternoon. You're going to see some heavier, steadier rain moving in, especially later Monday evening and into the day on Tuesday. Yakutat will also be getting in on some rain here Monday into Monday night and Tuesday, and another round coming in for Wednesday. I think the heavier rain for Yakutat along the northeastern Gulf Coast will come on Wednesday. But right now is this Sunday afternoon, partly cloudy. Enjoy that 60-degree weather in the sunshine. Here is the accumulated rainfall. It includes today through early Thursday morning. So technically it's a 4-day total, but really it's more of a 3-day total because the bulk of the rain along the Gulf Coast is coming Monday through Wednesday. So it just shows that areas along the northeastern Gulf Coast, Yakutat, especially the coastal mountains and up here in the northern panhandle, we're looking at 2 to 4 inches of rain, locally some higher amounts of upwards of 6 inches where you have the terrain enhancement. There's a front that's going to kind of just bump up along the Gulf Coast here tomorrow, and that's going to have some gale force winds and even lower storm force and winds. And by the time we deal with that feature, another low is going to come up. An impulse comes up out of the North Pacific and rotates back to the north and west, and that's what's going to bring some heavier rainfall as we expect here in the western part of Prince William Sound Monday night into Tuesday. Now, as far as hazardous weather, we do not have any watch warnings or advisories currently in effect for the mainland or extending out into the Aleutians. But behind me here, we do have a special weather statement put out by the Juneau Forecast Office, and that is for areas along the northeastern Gulf and Panhandle. There's going to be periods of moderate to locally heavy rain pretty much later this Sunday night through the day Wednesday. And if that's not enough, we're going to also see some more lows coming up out of the North Pacific into the Gulf by the weekend. So there's going to be additional rain and wind all along the Gulf Coast into the Panhandle for later on this week and into the next weekend. But here we are watching this low, and it's kind of interesting. See these brighter enhanced cloud tops? Those are convective in nature. There could even be a little lightning with those. And this is the front. This front's just going to gradually pull northeastward and butt up along the Gulf Coast. It's going to bring more areas of rain in along the Gulf Coast, along with windy conditions as we go through tonight and into the day on Monday. Meanwhile, back to the west, Bethel's seen a little sunshine today. There's some intervals of sunshine here and through the western southwest interior. And then behind me, there's another low kind of out here in the western Aleutians, far southwest corner of the Bering Sea. This low is going to take a track east-southeastward and then energy recurve back up into the Gulf as we head into mid and later in the week ahead. So here is the first low tonight. It's just southwest of the Gulf, central pressure just above 980 millibars, but here's that wrapped around occluded front that'll have a band of gale to low-end storm force winds along it. And as we get into Monday afternoon, that front's going to try to pull further north, and again, it's going to spread some moisture back to the north and west, and then there's another lower impulse coming up out of here, out of the North Pacific into the eastern Gulf on Tuesday. Meanwhile, behind me, we have that other low there, southwest bearing, working its way along the western half of the Aleutians, and just a weak area of high pressure up there toward St. Lawrence Island. But this low is going to head east-southeastward, and then that energy is going to recurve back toward the northeast up in the Gulf mid and later in the week ahead. So here comes that next impulse on Tuesday. That's going to pull moisture back to the north and west across the Gulf Coast. And as that lifts up, that's going to bring some more rain, especially on Wednesday, moderate to locally heavy rainfall into the Panhandle up around Yakutat. And then as we look behind me, we find this kind of double barrel low coming through the central Aleutians, and that energy is going to link up with the secondary low. All that's going to kind of just combine and pull another low up into the Gulf here for the latter half of the week into next weekend. So the weather's going to stay active. This pattern is pretty much going to carry through the end of September for all along this region from the Aleutians, but especially along the Gulf Coast and Panhandle as we close out the month. As far as for the interior, there will be a little moisture that pulls back up along the eastern interior for midweek, Tuesday into Wednesday. And aside from that, no big storms or heavy snowfalls like we saw the end of last week. Temperature-wise, we are going to find readings at night with any clearing getting below freezing up here, North Slope, Brooks Range, parts of the Alaska Range, any areas that did get some snow, slushy snow that we had here late Thursday into early Saturday. Could be a little refreezing, a few icy spots, but otherwise pretty typical kind of temperatures here for mid-September for near normal readings. And then here in the Panhandle, lows generally in the 40s, a few areas lower 50s, and high temperatures on Monday afternoon, generally across the mainland, 40s and 50s, 30s there, North Slope, once you get through the passes there, Atigun, Anatuvik passes, and up along the Beaufort Sea coast. Panhandle could still see a few ratings in the lower 60s, Sitka down toward Klawock and Craig, as we have that front with the rain pulling northward with those gusty winds. And then on Tuesday morning, again, below freezing up here along the North Slope, Brooks Range, near freezing along the Arctic coast. We could have pockets of a few spots near freezing in the Alaska Range, especially if you can become partly cloudy. But this time of year, if you've had precipitation, you get some clearing and the winds are calm like that with low-level moisture, you could also be looking at some morning fog or stratus that forms overnight. Now, areas here of the Panhandle will be getting some, more rain. There's going to be another round come up for Wednesday, but lows generally upper 40s to lower 50s there, and generally lows in the 40s across south central, except for where you have some of the cooler spots in the Copper River Basin or up along the Alaska Range. And we have temperatures low mid 40s back toward the eastern Aleutians on Alaska up to St. Paul. Tuesday afternoon, if you can get a little bit of sun up there toward Fairbanks, Tok, Delta Junction, maybe a 60-degree day, squeak that one out. Otherwise, daytime highs generally in the 50s in through the Kuskokwim, up through the Yukon Valley and as well as the Tanana Valleys, and even down through areas around Anchorage Bowl could be upper 50s, near 60 degrees. Some 60s still in the Panhandle here for Tuesday, dodging some showers. And here's the extended outlook for September 20th through the 21st, which places us within that time frame of the equinox, the fall equinox. And temperatures going to hold above normal along the southeast mainland, Alcan border into the Panhandle with the greatest probability of temperatures averaging above normal. Eastern Alaska Range down through the Copper River Basin to the northern Gulf Coast. A little cooler than normal back toward the Lisburn Peninsula and the western portion of the North Slope. And then precipitation-wise, precipitation may average a bit above normal over southeast mainland corner there, Northway down through Glen Allen, Yakutat, into the Panhandle. Not an exceptionally high anomaly, but nevertheless, little. It would suggest, again, we're going to see those lows coming in up out of the North Pacific, so that's just going to bring some additional. This is the one of the rainier times of the year, so that means above that normal. And then much of the mainland back through the west and extending out into the Aleutians. Precipitation September 20th through the 24th is expected to average near normal.